Hey guys, this is Tom. Thanks for tuning in. Let me show you today 5 Nikon D850 hacks I use every day. Now if you're like me that are kind of new to Nikon, you'll notice that Nikon, it seems like it has more features than Canon in the menu. Now is that a good thing or bad thing? It all depends how you use it, right? Alright, so we're tuning in onto hack or trick number 1. And one thing I learned is you got this handy ISO button here, but what if you want to go auto ISO? Well, then you have to move the wheel in the front. So any mode that you're in, you know, aperture, manual, P for professional, shutter, you can go ahead and hit this ISO button here, hold it, and then rotate the wheel in the front, and this will change it to auto ISO. So let's say you're in manual mode and you want to stay at f5, for example, 1/60th of a second, but you want to keep these settings, the aperture and the shutter speed. Okay, so what you need to set then is the ISO to get the proper exposure. To do it manually, if your scene changes a lot, it's going to be cumbersome. If you want to let the camera do the thinking, just put it into ISO, auto, and it will keep your shutter and the aperture setting set, and the camera will vary the ISO value to get proper exposure. Now obviously the aperture and shutter have to be within certain limits, because there might not be enough compensation in the ISO setting to get you a good exposure. So I found that getting into auto ISO gets me into like a semi auto mode, which is really nice because this camera doesn't really have automatic or like intelligent auto modes. Which kind of, I like to use sometimes because I just don't really care about settings. I just want to snap an image. Let's say I'm just, shooting a party or some kids playing around, and if I don't really want to play with all the settings, this is the kind of setting I use all the time. Okay. Number two, quickly get to 100% magnification by assigning a function to the center button. See, center multi-selection button, you quickly go to 100%, so you can check for critical focus. Now to set that, you go to menu, head over to controls, F, and then go multi-selector center button. This is the button. Go to playback, and at playback go to zoom on off, and select 100%. That's my preferred settings. If you select 50, that just doesn't zoom in enough. If you select 200, it might get pixelated. Okay, so we just go with the 100. So here it is again. We play back the image, press the multi-selector center button, and it gets us right into the middle of the image. So trick number 3 is related to the trick number 2. Alright, so we're gonna go to the menu. And now what we have, we're gonna assign 100% magnification in playback and not in playback. So trick number 3 is similar to number 2, where I want to assign 100% magnification to the live view to this button. Okay, so we go here, again controls, multi-selector center button. Now we go to live view option, and then we go zoom on or off, and then we select 100%. So what happens now, if you have live view and you press this center button, it'll go to 100% magnification. Okay, so once again we go live view, zoom on off, 100%. Okay, and this is under F in the custom settings menu. Okay, so let's go, we go live view here. Okay, so we're in live view and we want to check critical focus. So we can press the center multi-selection button and gets us right in the middle, okay? And we see at 100% what we're shooting. Okay, so if we want to check critical focus, we can just press this button here in the middle, and this gets us into 100% in the image. The next great feature of Nikon D850, number 4, is to be able to set image area on your on the photos and video you take. So you head over to the menu, you go to the photo shooting menu, and it's on the first I guess tab on this menu right here, image area. So you enter this, and then you can select for either from shooting a full frame to shooting a DX crop sensor, and it shows the this in millimeters, or even some other kind of formats like a 1:1 square ratio. So you know, you can choose this if you want to keep let's say one lens on the camera, and you know, this doesn't do anything that you couldn't do in Photoshop later. But let's say you're only shooting with the 50mm and they want the 50 to act like a 75mm. You can choose the DX mode. So it's just cooler if you shoot birds that are really far away, that you'll never fill the frame. I choose like the DX setting just to kind of save space on the you know, shoot smaller photos. So it's just kind of cool. It's a unique feature to Nikon, it seems. Same in the video option, in the video shooting menu. So the same in the movie shooting menu. It's located here on the first tab right in the middle. You go image area, choose image area. Now here you only have two options, either TX or FX. And this is kind of cool, probably more useful in the video mode, as you can make one lens work kind of like two lenses. So let's say if we choose DX, and it still lets us keep 4K setting, which is amazing. So you can have your single lens basically work like two different lenses, which is huge. Yeah, I mean, this is a really nice feature here. So hack number 5 would be the back button autofocus. Okay, so first you have to make sure that your autofocus is set to on the body, and also set it on the lens. Okay. Okay, then go ahead and press this button. When you press this AF button, the top screen shows you your different focus settings. Okay, so right now we're in a continuous mode. You can go to a single mode, and then with this wheel you can scroll through different continuous modes. Okay. I usually shoot with the 72 or D9 or single here right in the middle. I shoot focus and basically recompose, which means set the camera on the subject I want and then recompose. Okay. So to actually use this effectively, this button is your sole autofocus point. This here. Then you can basically release the photo. You know your subject's not gonna move, so then you can just take a photo with this and it recompose. Take a photo with your shutter button, and it doesn't refocus. Like, you just basically know you're at the same distance. So if you're shooting birds, you don't have to keep refocusing all the time if you know you have good focus, if you haven't moved or the subject didn't move. So what you have to do there is get into the autofocus menu in the custom settings menu. Then you have to go to AF activation, and you have to make sure that you select autofocus only on the autofocus button. If you leave it here, if you leave it on the shutter button and the AF button, what happens is anytime you shoot, you know, you can't like effectively pre-focus. You're gonna try to shoot and it's gonna take extra time for you to shoot. Okay. So if you have this thing here, let's say I focus here. And then I want to take this photo. I focus here, but if I press the shutter, it's gonna want to focus again. So go to the menu, autofocus, I have activation, and assign focusing only to this button here, okay? So then we can pre-focus, we can recompose any way you want, and then your shutter just takes a photo. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, but I think it's a great feature, especially if you shoot, let's say, some birds or something that's, you know, that's predictable distance, or even if you shoot like, you know, some racing cars speeding by on the curve, you know that they're always in the same area on the curve, so you can effectively pre-focus with your camera and then just use the shutter to take a photo, you know, if you want to take up, you know, take photos of objects in a specific area. So that's it. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.